we do have two different ways we can find these percents and these missing numbers. Okay, and let's talk about how we're going to do that. And I'm going to show you both ways on each one of these examples. Let's take a look at number 1. Number 1 says, what percent of 90 is 45? Okay, now our proportion method is what we've been doing the last 2 days. Our is over of equals our percent over 100. The equation method, basically we're going to take this word sentence right here and we're going to replace the word of with multiplication and the word is with equals. Okay, so let's first take a look at the proportion method. Okay, first of all, let's identify what we're missing. Well, we're missing the percent, right? We don't know what that is. That's what the question is asking us. So in our proportion over here, that's where our question mark is going to be. And obviously it's going to be over 100. Now it says what percent of 90 is 45? So my of is 90. My is 45. Okay? Now that we have that set up, now we can cross multiply and divide just like we did all week. Okay? The only difference on this one is, if you notice, this time we're going to be multiplying 45 times 100 and then dividing by 90. Okay? Because that's going to give us a percent. And, well, that's going to give us our percent because, I mean, look, the question asks us what percent. Okay? So when we do that, we end up with 4,500 divided by 90. Now, I know with shortcut I could probably cut off each of these zeros here. 9 goes into 45 5 times, and then add a 0 right there, so we end up with 50. So my answer would be 50%. No, because we didn't divide by 100. Okay? If we are dividing by 100, then yes, we can move our decimal over 2 places, but we didn't on that one. So let's take a look at the equation method. Some of you might prefer this method. Let's look. It says what percent. So I'm going to replace that what percent with a WP. That means what percent. Okay, then I have the word of. I'm going to replace that with times. Is equals 45. So we have like what percent times 90 equals 45? Well, when we do that, remember this is the same thing as solving our equations. So essentially what I'm doing is I'll draw my balance beam down here, and I'm going to have to get rid of this 90. Well, to get rid of times, how do I get rid of times 90? What's the opposite of times 90? Yeah, divide by 90. So I have to divide both sides by 90. Those guys cancel, and that leaves me basically with 45 divided by 90. I would have to add a decimal and a 0, bring my decimal up. 90 goes into 450, 5 times? Okay, so I got 0.5. Well, 0.5, I have to change that to a percent, so I have to move my decimal over 2 places, 1, 2, which leaves me with 50%. Okay, so that's how I get 50%. Either way gets you the correct answer. Doesn't matter which way you want to do it. Either way, well, we'll give you the right answer. All right, let's take a look at number 2. Number 2, again, we could do it the same way. I could set up my proportion method. I know that my 100 is going to be over here. I don't know the other numbers, though. Let's take a look. Okay, it says of what number? Okay, so I don't know what my of is. That's what I'm looking for. Right there. And it says 12 is, so that 12 goes in my is right here. And then it says 8%. Okay, now that I have that set up, now I can do my cross multiplying and dividing. Now remember, you guys should be copying this down in your notes. So when we cross multiply, yes, that gives us 1,200, and then I have to divide by 8. Well, 1,200 divided by 8 Let's see, that gives us our 1 right there. 8 goes into 45 times. Add my 0, so it'll be 150. So I know that 12 is 8% of 150. 150 would be my answer in that instance. Okay, so let's take a look at, let's do it using our equation method. Okay, it's 12. We replace our word is with equals. 8%. Now, I'd probably be best off changing that to a decimal. What is 8% in decimal form? Not 0.8, it'd be 0.08. Remember, I have to move it over 2 places? Remember? Come on. 1, 2. Okay, and it says of, which is times, and then I would have, I'll put WN right here for what number. Okay, so now that I have that, now I can solve that. Okay, so again, I would have to do my balance beam. How do I get rid of this 0.08 right here? What's the opposite? Since I'm multiplying over here, what's the opposite of that? What's the opposite of multiplication? Thank you. So yes, I would have to divide 12 divided by 0.08. Move my decimal over 2 places. And I divide like normal. 8 goes into 12 one time. I get 150, which is the same thing that I get over there. As you can see, it doesn't matter which method I choose to use, get you the same answer. Okay? Which way do you guys prefer? The proportion like we've been doing the last couple of days, or the equation? All right, well, on number 3, since you guys like the proportion better, let's do it that way. Again, we'll do our is over of. Okay, it says 48 is of what number? And obviously that's my percent right there. So my 48 is my is. My of, I don't know what that is. That's what we're trying to find. My percent is going to be 20 over 100. Okay, now let's do our cross multiplying and dividing. 48 times 100 obviously gives us 4,800. Divided by 20. Is it? I don't know. I know that 2 goes into 48 2 times, which gives us 40. Leftover of 8, drop down by 0. 20 goes into 84 times. And we'll put our 0 right there. So we know that 48 is 20% of 240. Now, don't forget about that last 0 right there. Just like I heard, somebody said 24. Well, we still had another 0 right there that we need to put that 0 over. Otherwise, you're going to be off quite a bit. But that's all there is to it. It's the same thing we've been doing the last couple of days with a little bit of a change up on where our numbers go. But the process is the same. Cross, multiply, divide. However, if you like the equation method better, you can certainly do that. It'll give you the same answer. Okay? All right. Let's get to work.